Oh, dearie me, my little brother's in his bedroom smoking weed. I tell him he should get up because it's nearly 3:30. He can't be bothered because he's high on THC. I ask him very nicely if he'd like a cup of tea. I can't even see you because the room is so smoky. Don't understand how someone can watch so much TV. My little baby brother Alfie, how I wish that you could see. So, Lily Allen is a famous singer. So she's talking about Alfie. Alfie Allen.
He's in Game of Thrones.
He is. So Alfie Allen played Theon Greyjoy in Game of Thrones. And here is his sister singing about how he likes to smoke weed. And this is the most amazing thing.
At least this is better than that discussion about It last week.
Nothing is better than that discussion. That discussion was amazing.
You heard it here first, folks. David loves that scene from the It book.
I haven't even read the book.
It's like 900,000 pages.
Exactly.
It's sitting on my shelf. I don't want to even open it. It's like, ugh.
I've been
reading...
reading...
I wrote a novel. But I kept it to 200 pages.
Which is a Stephen King book that isn't 900 pages long.
That seems like a rarity.
I can pull it up right here. It's on my shelf. It's like 250 pages.
Okay.
So it's fairly reasonable.
Huh. Yeah, you know, that's a fair length. Hey, so what's new with current events?
The world is exploding.
Yeah, you noticed that? It seems like there's 1 billion natural disasters all happening like at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, how's the smoke in Colorado right now?
It's pretty great. All the forest fires up in the mountains, you can just see for the first couple of days, you could just see the column of smoke shooting into the sky. It was fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad.
And
it
was actually I went outside to go take the trash out too, and I started like having a hard time breathing. I felt like it was like have you ever been in the shower too long and the steam makes it kind of hard to breathe? It was like that.
Why were you in the shower that long? That's the question.
I don't know, sometimes you fall asleep and forget you're in there.
That's not what I had in mind, but okay.
What, were you making a joke about the whacking?
Well, I think you're the kind of person who'd be subject to that sort of weaknesses of the flesh.
Well, not in the shower. That's disgusting. Other people use that shower, you inconsiderate bastard.
Well, you're the one who's doing it.
No, I never... No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
There. You're just throwing out accusations now.
Of course I am. That's what you do.
No, I'm... Okay,
and because I accused you, it's completely legitimate.
Alright, fine. If I accuse you of things, it's legitimate too. You're
no.
shaming.
No. Only I can do it. Only I'm that smart.
Oh, okay. Alright. You heard it here first, folks.
I'm the best
David
person who's ever
porn.
lived.
What? We said very different sentences. Hold on, what?
I'm the best person who's ever lived.
Oh, okay.
And no, I'm not a robot.
There's a rumor going around on my Discord server now that you're just a robot. Like, a lot of people are very, very concerned and believe that I built you in a lab specifically to hold up the boom mic.
Do you really think he'd be that smart?
And they're like, did you program him to hate everything? And I was like, yeah, it would be too dangerous if I programmed him to love.
Yeah.
So you're like the Terminator, except instead of killing people, you just complain.
I kill people's hype.
You kill the good time. I'm the Buzz Terminator. I show up to your party and ruin everyone's good time.
Yeah. So how's been college treating you?
It's alright. It's not quite as stressful as I was thinking it would be. Just because when I have like a really like they give you a homework assignment that you have to get done in like the next few hours. Like, oh shit, I'm worried now. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. It's never something like horrible. Like, here, write a research paper on something boring. It's like, write a story, kid. I'm like, oh, I actually kind of enjoy that. I enjoy that a lot.
I've got some interesting reading. Tell me what you think of this.
Oh no!
It is necessary.
Read off a thing that says that
for both
film school
Aristotle's
people
teaching about
end
the
up
categories
homeless.
and for assigning definitions to know what genus and genus and difference in property and species and accident are. The consideration of these things is generally useful for matters which I have to do with division and demonstration. Therefore, by giving you a summary treatment, I will try to expound the discussions of the ancients briefly and by way of an introduction, avoiding the profound questions and aiming in a fitting way for the simple ones. In another way, the term genus is used of the source of each person's coming into being, either the generator or the place in which someone was born. For in this way, we say that Orestes has his genus from Tantalus and Hylas from Heracles, and again that Pindar is a Theban by genus. For a person's fatherland is in some way the source of his coming into being, just as his father is. And this is the ordinary meaning of the term for people who...
Okay, I get it! It's boring!
I wanted to... Mwahaha. You're bored now.
You're bored.
I'm not as bored as you are.
Yeah, well, you're stiff as a board.
What?
Because you can't dance.
Hey, I want you to know that there is a swing dance club here, and I've been going to it, so...
I can't picture that at all. Alright, someone out there who's talented enough, animate David's swing dancing. But every beat of the song, he says something about how much he dislikes Star Wars. Like sound clips from videos. Kylo Ren has weird character motivation. Like, just every time he takes a step, it'd be great.
Okay. What?
Alright, hey, so anyway, I read Old Man Logan, the comic, and it's pretty damn cool.
It's not as good as the movie.
You haven't even read the comic.
Well, it's better, because it's not a comic book.
Oh my god, I can't. I hate you so much.
Why?
You're the worst. Anyway, so yeah, a couple of things.
Because I'm true?
No. Don't promote your lies. Hey everyone, guess what? I'm writing an actual comic book that I'm gonna try and get on like store shelves that I'm gonna get like sold.
Comic books are not art.
I'm gonna try and get it published by Image Comics.
Comic books are not art.
I think I found my artists,
books,
and I'm very excited to be working with them because they're very talented
people. They're not art.
And I also I'm in the process of figuring out how to like interview a colorist basically. My biggest concern is that I'm gonna get a lot of like 4-year-olds going, "Hey, I have MS Paint. Can I do it for you?" And I'm like, "No, you cannot color my comic book."
Well, MS Paint is the official. It is the official tool that professionals use in the industry.
Oh yeah, Marvel. I mean, you know what's funny is I was about to like totally like bag on you for saying that, but now that I think about it, like with the dramatic decrease in art skill recently with Marvel Comics, I wouldn't be surprised if one or two of them was actually using MS Paint and just would use the fill tool because it looks so flat and like boring now.
But it's stylized. And having a style automatically means that it's good.
Yeah, it has a style. It's great. So yeah, it's the story I've been working on for 5 years. Working title is "I Am Become Pestilence."
I read it and it's weird.
It's about a
the title is dumb.
Police officer in a space colony with a horrible virulent plague that mutates people.
And I didn't like it that much, but hopefully other people like it more than I did.
You didn't get past like the first 20 pages.
I got like 30 pages in.
Oh, that's so much better.
Maybe even 40.
If I were to elevator pitch it, I would say picture Dead Space mixed with Clockwork Orange.
Except that Dead Space is not good, so.
Oh my god, you're just... It's like every time I say I like something, you say you hate it. Without fail. Just to upset. Hey, David, guess what?
What?
I like Star Trek.
Well, Star Trek is good. I'm glad you like it.
God damn it! You're fired. I'm gonna kick you out.
But I'm halfway across the country, so how could you fire me?
I'll send you the pink slip in the mail.
Of course.
It's just you open up a piece of paper in the mail. It's just a pink, like, it's an actual pink piece of paper that just says you're fired, but both words are misspelled, and then it has a picture of you getting stabbed by a pitchfork. And it's a really bad picture. It's like it's a stick figure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's the kind of quality you can expect from Godzilla Mendoza Productions.
Well, I mean, it is Godzilla Mendoza, so what do you expect?
Oh god, yeah, I'm just the worst. I'm terrible at everything.
So yeah, speaking of Logan, interestingly, some people in my collage were watching it the other night, and I walked over just as they were getting to that scene. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, right?
That scene where the movie takes a turn. And you're like,
oh
god!
And spoilers if you're not, if you haven't seen it, it's the scene where, you think everything's fine. You think they're going to settle down and have a nice night after they've gotten to the farm and they have had a nice dinner and they're like
and then
relaxing.
Things go horribly wrong.
And then Patrick Stewart has his Oscar speech. And then after that, he gets stabbed by who he thinks is Wolverine, but really is X-24, like a clone. And then it's like, wait, what? No, everything is wrong. Why? No, stop,
everything
please.
Went horrible in like 2 seconds.
And then everybody dies except for Wolverine and X-23. And then you just think, no. And
what's the point of even being here now if there's no Professor X?
And then I was just watching these people's reaction because like half of them hadn't seen it yet, so they were like, oh, whoa, holy, that sort of reaction. And I think holy, and everybody leaned forward and like, oh wow, and that sort of thing. And that was amazing to do that because I saw it and I knew it. And if you didn't know, also, I saw it on Thursday night with you, Xavier, and then on Saturday I saw it again with my family, and there was a group of kids in the row in front of us.
And were they just as traumatized and freaked out?
Yeah, that's what is amazing about this movie is that it flips the genre conventions on its head. That scene was specifically what made the movie so good.
Yeah, I would say that the comic adaptation, or not the comic Old Man Logan. Mm-hmm. It's hard to compare it to the movie because it's basically just like the same premise but a completely different story. There's nothing really to compare because it just kind of went a completely different direction. But it does kind of have a scene like that in there where you're like, wow, things seem to be going really well. Oh god, everything's horrible now. Except instead of X-24, it's Red Skull shows up. The Captain America villain?
I think this might be I'm going to bring up this question, but I think this might be the example where the adaptation is a little bit better than the comic. I don't know if that's sure because I can't say, but it's just that the thematic and the undertones and sort of like the messages of the movie are a lot more specific to the movie because in the comic books, Hulk's kids are like ruling everything, and like there's also like
there's supervillain kings
like
that have split up the ownership of they've split up the ownership of the United States because basically it's the idea is that 50 years ago Red Skull finally organized all of the supervillains, like anyone who has a costume or a power or anything, and figured out that the numbers are like, for every one Spider-Man, there's like 30 bad guys. if they all got organized and worked together, just through sheer number, not necessarily like fighting skill, they could probably overtake them. So the supervillains take over the entire U.S. and like Doctor Doom owns a big chunk of it, and like Magneto takes I think actually owns like Colorado and Nebraska and stuff, and then Abomination decides to take California, but the Hulk goes insane and then starts a weird like inbred like
Cult?
Gang cult based on because he
don't
raped
get too
She-Hulk.
specific. We need to keep going.
I'm just like explaining. I kind of like the world of Old Man Logan more, just because it's kind of cool to see like a very bleak follow up to all these superheroes. It's not they just disappear or they all go into retirement. No, it's like horrible stuff happens and everyone ends up in a really weird situation. So, like, basically all of the U.S. is split up between Red Skull, Doctor Doom, the Kingpin, and the Hulk. And everyone living under there is, like, in the wasteland because there was a nuclear explosion, or multiple ones. Everyone living in, like, the aftermath is just kind of, like, paying rent to supervillains and hoping they don't get killed. And I really like how, at one point, my favorite scene is just where they're just driving around in a town, and I guess it's, like, some, like, big touristy location that really worships superheroes and wishes they would come back. And they just bump into Ultron. And he's just on the street, and he's wearing a button-up shirt and khakis and, like, shoes. And he's carrying groceries, and he's like, "Hey, Hawkeye, Wolverine, what's up, guys?" And they're like, "Oh, hey, man, what's up?" And Ultron is just a dude now, and I guess, like, he even has, like, a wife who's a human, and is Peter Parker's daughter. It's really bizarre, and you could have done so many things with Ultron, but I think it was just, like, hilarious that he's just a dude buying groceries now. Like, he ran out of things to conquer or be angry about, so he's just a guy.
But I think that the problem with, like, having all those supervillains and stuff is that it's just a more of a generic dystopia almost, and that the sort of, like, what makes it so brilliant in Logan is it's re-examining the established genre of X-Men movies almost, and it's bringing real stakes and real consequences to the sort of superhero, like the rules and the established universe that they have within the X-Men movies. And that involves things like having a weird scientist as the villain, having Logan as the main hero, that sort of thing. And it also had a slight critique of, like, almost Professor X, in that he just has seizures and kills people, in that they kind of pointing out that Professor X is secretly the most powerful character they have, but they don't acknowledge that in any real way. And there was also a callback to X-Men 2, where he's basically the atomic bomb that's going to end the world in that movie.
I love the fact that Professor X is just an old guy with no hair and a wheelchair. But he's just this living nuke that could end all things if he wanted to. And that's, I guess that's sort of like the idea, because do you know what happened to him in the comics in the past few years?
I don't know.
Red Skull killed him. Or no, not Red Skull. It was Cyclops killed him after a very long disagreement involving what to do with the Phoenix Force. That went a little crazy. After he was killed, the Red Skull exhumed his corpse and then had portions of his brain removed and then inserted into his own head so that he could have Professor X's powers. And then he used them to try and take over the world and basically trick Captain America into thinking he was Hydra by using the Cosmic Cube and all this stuff. It was like,
it's overcomplicated.
No, it was cool. Just like, here's what someone could do with Professor X's powers if they weren't a super nice guy. And there was a lot of really interesting Avengers stories with it, where, like, he was having the Avengers dismantled one by one by making them basically do his bidding. and the only one that he couldn't stop was Deadpool, because you can't do anything to Deadpool's mind because he's so messed up. And I like the resolution of that was that Deadpool takes Magneto's helmet that he had just laying around in the wreckage of the old X Mansion, and then he puts it on Rogue's head and said, "There, go beat him up."
Meh.
Oh,
so I think that, I mean, I think the most interesting thing that we can do with Logan, and now that it's been out for a few months, is let's expand on the comparison to The Dark Knight, because a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, this is the best superhero movie since The Dark Knight." What does that mean? What's that entail?
I would say,
is it is The Dark Knight a fair comparison? Because I don't think it is. I think that Logan has more in common with Mad Max Fury Road than it does with Dark Knight, because Dark Knight was a product of its time in that it was still trying to prove that superhero movies could be taken seriously. But
yeah, it was the only one that's ever won an Oscar.
It was the dark, gritty superhero movie. I mean, Logan is very dark and gritty, but it's different. It's more like Mad Max, how it sort of takes.
I think the comparison is not
genre behind. It takes an established brand.
Yeah, it takes a genre and a brand, and then tries to do something new with it.
It takes a brand that is in itself a genre. X-Men movies and Mad Max movies, they're kind of like a little mini genre in and of themselves, and sort of reimagined that and critiqued it almost.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with everyone saying it critiques the genre. I don't get, like, what statement does Logan as a movie have that says anything negative about any of the movies before it or after it or anything?
Well, there's a whole subplot.
It's just one that's
the
done
comics,
better.
Remember the comics that Laura had, where Wolverine is going like, "Oh, these are crap. It's not like this. People die," and it's sort of injecting that dose of reality into a fantastical genre, while still indulging in the tropes of that genre.
Oddly enough, the comic did do that. There was a line in there where Wolverine and Hawkeye were talking, both as old men.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about this, like, fanfare and, like, wish for superheroes to return after everything kind of fell apart. And Hawkeye says, "I bet they're just waiting for the superheroes to come back to life like in the old days, where they would just rise from the dead wearing a cool new costume." And Wolverine says, "It doesn't work that way anymore."
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, there's this really grim, depressing sort of tone to it, where if you die in Old Man Logan time, you don't get all these fantastic, like, hilarious, overcomplicated resurrections. It's just, you die, you die. Which is why it's really sad when Hawkeye, spoiler, inevitably gets killed in that story. Is because there's not any coming back from it. I guess you could almost say that the movie tried to take that point and go, like, run away with it, because the whole thing is that Wolverine dies in the movie.
And he can't heal anymore.
And he can't... you don't have your fantastical superpower of coming back from anything anymore. So it's just kind of... It's a definitive ending for him.
And I'm just going to say this, that I don't think The Dark Knight is all that good. I think that elements of it are really amazing. Like, Heath Ledger as the Joker. Certain scenes, certain... set pieces are brilliant. But overall, it's not that as great as people remember it to be. For example, my main problem with it is that I'm not invested in the story because the main character is really boring. I mean, think about it. It's classic Batman syndrome. It's Joker syndrome, where after they have the first movie where they develop the main character and give him a character arc, in the second movie they don't give him a character arc. They just make a more interesting villain, and then the hero is just opposite the much more interesting villain. And yeah, Joker is amazing, but Batman is really boring in that movie.
Batman has little to no input in that movie except for the ending, where he decides to take credit for Harvey Dent's killings, which to me was silly. And I feel like it was very un-Batman-like. You know, there's the thing that bugs me most about The Dark Knight is that it tries to be a really artsy movie with some very deep themes about morality, and it tries to be a sort of character analysis of the Joker and Batman. But it does it in such an unsubtle, ham-fisted way. It does it in such an unsubtle, ham-fisted way. Because every character is constantly going, hey, you know, here's the Joker's motivation, and also, like, the reason he's like this, and also the reason you're like this, Batman, and here's how you and him are, like, mirrors of each other. And, like, Alfred gives so many speeches where he's just explaining the theme in your face at the audience. Like,
why can't you give a speech about the main character? Because all he does, all that Batman does in that movie is he pines over Rachel, who's going to get married to Harvey Dent, and then he decides to blame himself for Harvey's murders, and that's it.
Yep.
I will admit that the ferry scene, where there's the bombs on the ferries and all that was
cool,
brilliant. It was a great scene, but
well, I mean, there's also the problem that Joker just kind of steals everyone's scenes. It's more of a Joker movie than a Batman movie.
That's the problem with
it. It might as well just be The Joker. Like, you could just title it that. Because Batman is almost such like a non-entity. And when people say Joker is the real protagonist of The Dark Knight, I think their reasoning is stupid, trying to pretend he's like a secret good guy, or he has like some kind of like intelligent statement about society. He's just a crazy person.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the movie proves.
But I will
because
say
at the end of the ferry scene, he says he was trying to prove that people aren't as good as they seem, but then he proves.
And then they prove him wrong.
They prove him wrong. Like, yeah, you managed to corrupt Harvey Dent, but I mean, there was like 100 people on those ferries, and by aggregate, there was more good people than bad by that argument.
Exactly. So Joker in the end is wrong about everything. Now, I will say you could argue he's the protagonist in the sense that he's the character who has the most
to do
forward momentum in the plot. He's the constant driving force who's always making things happen, while as Batman is very reactionary. It's just, oh no, Joker did something shitty, how do I stop it? Oh no, he did another thing shitty, how do I stop it? Until he finally just barely gets a leg up on him at the very end
and that's my
using
problem
cell
with
phones.
it, is that, like, even Batman versus Superman, Batman had more to do. In the original Batman movie, he had a lot more to do. They drew thematic parallels in the first Batman movie between Jack Nicholson's Joker and Michael Keaton's Batman, and they secretly hinted that they're both kind of crazy inside. Like, remember, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
And they have a lot of the similar themes between The Dark Knight and Batman. But Batman does it in a lot more of a subtler way. And there's
no one
also
ever
stuff like
sits down in the 1989 Batman and goes, you know, Batman and Joker sure are pretty much like each other. It's almost like they're the same guy, but on different sides of the tracks. Yeah. Like, just goes on a speech about it. That's the thing that the YouTube videos about the movie should be doing.
Yeah, my favorite scene in Batman 1989 is when Bruce Wayne goes on the anniversary of his parents' death to their seat. We don't really need to see that his parents were killed. We just see him mourning, and he leaves a flower down there, and it's very subtle, and it's all just him acting, and it's such a great moment because you're not told anything. You just have to see it and interpret it. And that's what I think is that's why I don't like the comparisons between something like Logan and something like The Dark Knight, because The Dark Knight is an ambitious monster huge movie that is ambitious, but it doesn't get quite, it's bigger than its
it also doesn't understand its source material a lot of times. Like, I feel like there's a lot of things in there where it's just kind of Nolan going, "Hey, did you know comic books are stupid?"
It's kind of condescending to its own audience.
That's yeah, exactly. Well, as like Zack Snyder puts it on a pedestal and kind of worships it to the point where it's a little obnoxious. There needs to be a middle ground between Batman v Superman and Dark Knight.
It's a much better movie than The Dark Knight because there's a
Logan
lot of symbolism.
Doesn't turn its nose up at what it came from.
It's got a message to it. It's somewhat self-critical of its own source material, but it doesn't.
But at the same time, it also kind of respects it.
Mm-hmm.
It's right. It's a perfect example of how to do this sort of adaptation because it doesn't go ha ha comics are stupid and then sort of like hang a lampshade on how it thinks it's
and also it has a character
source material is secretly
that you're
dumb
involved in and that you root for, and you don't root for Batman. He's just such a boring character in that movie.
Which is obnoxious because Batman's one of the most interesting characters ever written in fiction. And then you get this movie where he's just like
you're trying to have
Alfred, what do I do? I don't know.
And it's hard for me to take The Dark Knight as a serious, Oscar-worthy comic book movie when you have Batman going... It's like
the voice
it
gets
takes the
real
drama
old.
out of a scene when the Joker and Batman are
Because
talking
all
about
you
whether
can
people
think
are
of
inherently
the
good or
billions
inherently
of
bad.
people that made fun of it on the internet. It's the same as Bane's stupid voice in the third movie, which okay, you could make an argument for Batman's voice throughout the trilogy.
It's a dumb argument, but you can make it.
It's a dumb argument, but you can make it. Bane had no excuse. He sounded hilarious for no reason. I was molded by the darkness,
Like, in The Dark Knight, there are moments when, like, the Joker and Batman are talking about whether people are inherently good or inherently bad, but you can't take them seriously when he's going the whole time. It's not...
Exactly.
It doesn't lead itself to the kind of drama that you need to have when we're having this kind of philosophical discussions.
Yeah, I mean, it would... If they had just given him the voice changer from Batfleck...
Yeah, that works better because you can turn that off when you need a dramatic moment. But it still addresses the argument of why don't they just listen to a press conference of Bruce Wayne and then hear it. I also like the voice that Michael Keaton does in his Batman movies because it's not it's not the voice changer, but there's enough of a difference that you wouldn't suspect the two, especially like that's the thing that I like the most about Batman 1989 is that there's a bigger difference between Bruce Wayne and Batman than in any other movie. Because, when you're introduced to Batman for the first time, Bruce Wayne, the characters don't recognize that he's Bruce Wayne until he introduces himself as Bruce Wayne. So you would understand why you wouldn't suspect this guy as being Batman because he sticks to himself, he's kind of introverted, he's very unassuming. So that makes more sense. Because, Bruce Wayne...
There's kind of a lack of subtlety in Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne, where he just intentionally throws himself into a hot tub full of almost naked women and going, "Woo! I love being irresponsible!" And it's like everyone around him could totally tell that's a front.
Everybody
would
he's
telegraphing it so hard.
Batman. And the fact that he's using Wayne Enterprise gear is kind of dumb, too.
He needs to be a jackass on, a really subtle level where you're like, God, this guy can't be Batman. He's so irresponsible. You get it from talking to him and just seeing, his priorities as a person, not so much as him cartoonishly just, swilling booze and then throwing dollar bills at strippers and then just waggling his banana hammock in Commissioner
I still
Gordon's
maintain...
face.
That the best Batman
Here's a lovely
movie
mental image for
is
you.
still 1989.
I don't know. I just this is probably a dumb reason to dislike that movie, but I really hate the decision to have Batman killing people in that movie. because there's no real reason behind it.
Well,
and I also really hate
that
the Joker is Joe Chill. I hate that decision.
When does he kill in Batman?
I did plenty of time. You could go look up a little compilation someone did. He throws 6 or 7 people off of rooftops, including Joker.
At least he doesn't fire his miniguns into a truck and then fire a missile, run over a car. He
doesn't grab a car with his car and then throw it into another car and then decapitate someone with it.
At least he doesn't do that.
I like how absurdly violent the kill scenes in Batman v Superman are.
If you're complaining about it in Batman, then you have to complain about it in Batman.
No, I
do.
Superman. I do. I think I hate because it's such a big chunk of the character and it's so important to them that to ignore it just seems kind of lazy because that means you have to figure out a way around it.
I just like
because to me it's his most interesting character flaw.
I like but I think overall the Batman movie is a lot better because it gets Batman and Bruce Wayne right when every other Batman movie gets it wrong.
To varying degrees. Yes.
The sequels to the Tim Burton movie went too comedic and made it too campy, and the Nolan movies went too serious, and they also went too boring. And then the Batman vs Superman was Batman vs Superman.
Yeah. Does that one need any explanation? Everyone's seen it. Everyone knows.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it last episode too. Didn't we talk about some of its problems?
I don't remember, but
since we started going a little bit more looser on these podcasts, it's harder to remember what gets talked about.
Uh-huh.
But hey, guess what I'm doing as we're recording this?
No.
Oh.
So let's see: sex, pastries, and monsters. What's in this? What's in the chapter times in the description? It, sex scene, Call Me by Your Name, Shape of Water, college and stuff. We talk about Wolverine's love life.
Okay.
We don't talk about that.
We've talked about Wolverine a lot recently. I'm starting to get more into Wolverine comics.
We talked about his love life. We talked about how he should totally get with Iceman, but now we're gonna have to talk about actually serious stuff instead of just being a weird joke.
I gotta tell you, I'm starting to really because I always thought his character was a little overexposed and kind of annoying because it was just here's 15 ongoings. He appears in 900 books a month.
So
he became is because of Hugh Jackman's awesome Wolverine in the movies. In the comics, he essentially became Marvel's Batman, where he's everywhere ever in a million books at once. So the 2000s were super saturated with Wolverine stuff, and it became hard to follow. But since they killed him off, it's been easy to catch up now because I don't have more books coming out every month to have to worry about. I just can be all right, I'm gonna go try and find a good starting point.
Do one last thought about Batman. Just wanted to say that a lot of people remember Tim Burton for just making edgy, weird stuff, but I think that a lot of his earlier work had a lot of subtlety and psychological elements that weren't present in a lot of other people doing the same sort of dark, edgy stuff.
Yeah. Alrighty.
I want to see Ed Wood sometime because that looks like it looks like that's kind of what James Franco is looking for with the Disaster Artist. Remember,
I heard someone say there was a new trailer for Disaster Artist in front of the new It movie.
Well, I can't wait for it to come on to
okay,
YouTube then.
So on top of the state of Florida being exploded via hurricane,
Florida anyway,
and Texas being underwater, and then half the mountains being on fire, we also have killer clowns. Did they ever explain what the clown thing was last October?
And it was just probably some people just doing a prank.
Like just a really elaborate prank all across the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was starting to worry it was like a viral marketing campaign for the It movie, but they never owned up to it.
Didn't need the viral marketing campaign because
it got the most viewed trailer on YouTube ever.
Most viewed trailer on YouTube ever in 24 hours. It's just kind of. I was surprised by the popularity of It, because it seems like people who are like 5 to 10 years older than you and I really, really liked the It miniseries when it came out. They watched it in the 90s when they were a kid, and then now they're going to watch the remake because, oh boy, I love that scary clown movie. I think that maybe it is a little not quite as good.
I think people kind of put it up on a pedestal because
I'm saying they've got nostalgia glasses on it for a movie that they imagine it was.
I think a big problem for it with me is that I just don't find clowns scary. I just can't.
He's holding red balloons! Ah!
Now, I don't know if it's maybe a genetic thing, since technically my grandma was a professional clown for a short period in the 70s. Like me. That's a true fact. I did not make that up. But just clowns don't bug me. They just don't see it. They're just kind of dumb. Even the one from American Horror Story. Although I do love that professional clowns hate this movie and they're like, you're making it so hard for us to get work. And it's like, well, maybe you should get a real job and not be a clown.
Yeah, you get a real job too.
I'm essentially an internet clown. I entertain small children by having pale white skin and fluffy red hair.
Spider-Man.
And making jokes. That's all I am!
Spider-Man's a joke too, but, whatever.
You're a fucking joke. I'll kill you. I'll kill your whole family. I threaten you a lot lately. Have you noticed that? Like, I keep...
Especially this episode.
Yeah. Yeah. This episode, there's been a lot of threats. I keep telling you I'll find you.
You don't even know where I go to college.
You've said so many fake names for the place that I've actually kind of gotten confused and forgot what the original one was. So you're right, I don't know where you go to college anymore.
I am not
I just know it's in a really small town.
I'm not, yeah. So I can tell the internets that I'm going to college in a small town somewhere.
It's called Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks, Minnesota.
Lot of talk around town lately because of what happened to that Laura Palmer fella.
Yeah.
I still gotta watch Twin Peaks, like all of it. Like I haven't watched the old stuff.
Neither have I.
I want to, but it just seems a little... Because it's weird, because I love 80s and 90s movies, but for some reason 80s and 90s TV shows just kind of don't click with me. It's harder because the pacing is so much slower.
You need to watch Babylon 5. You still need to watch Babylon 5.
I have in my favorites tab the shitty streaming site that it's on. What is it? Go 90. Which is so bad that it has like YouTube shows on it. It's just like, we want to start a streaming service, but we don't have any money. Who can we get?
Yeah, so it's actually owned by Verizon. Like the multimedia conglomerate.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Of course, Verizon owns the worst streaming service.
Well, AT&T owns DirecTV Now, and also it wants to buy Time Warner. So they're more legitimate than Verizon is.
So if Time Warner gets bought out by AT&T, does that mean that it's TWAT&T?
No, it's probably AT&T. AT&T.
My thing was funnier.
AT&T TW.
My thing was funnier!
No!
Anyway, so, no you.
No, yes me.
I'm uploading Life is Strange right now. It's got 17 minutes left.
Why?
I always, every time I upload a video, I always get kind of flabbergasted and confused because I have no idea what to put in the tags. Let's play, I guess.
I always tag you in my description.
I always... Oh. To feed off of my popularity?
Yeah, why else would I be friends with you?
You parasitic little leech. You're fired.
Fired.
And I just send you the pink... I gotta send you like 6 more pink slips. Just so you really get the message.
I didn't know I worked for you.
Yeah, well...
remember we had a corporate spinning off? I don't work for you anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I used to.
Oh, yeah. And you just put Michael Scott up on screen every time I talked.
Well, you are Michael Scott, except not. You are Michael Scott,
Damn it.
secretly.
I'm just the comic book YouTuber millennial Michael Scott.
You're not a millennial, obviously, because you don't vape.
Oh, I don't vape Nash, y'all. Dabs, and then plays with 6 fidget spinners while hearting something on Insta.
And reading Huffington Post.
and
BuzzFeed.
Speaking of... Teenagers are the worst.
And watching Vice on TV.
Dude, teenagers are the worst. That's the title of episode 1 of the Life is Strange thing. I'm going to type it right now.
So basically you get all your ideas, all your good ideas from me. You should cut me a check.
Man, they should pay you for all that free Spider-Man PS4 promotion you've been doing.
Hey, I was the one who made that joke.
I know, and then you just reply back with a GIF of someone shrugging.
So do you want to talk about that then? Or no?
I don't know. Would that be a little...
I think we already did. We already talked about we already talked about this particular YouTuber enough.
I don't think we've done it ever on video before.
I'm pretty sure... Well, we talked about it on the podcast a couple weeks ago.
Alright, I'll just say this. Hey, everyone. You're ruining Spider-Man PS4 for yourselves by having such hilariously over-the-top expectations and obsessing about every tiny, minute, pointless detail on it. Because then you're going to create some kind of perfect video game in your brain that has everything you want in it.
Half-Life 3 has been ruined for whenever Valve gets around to making that, which they won't.
Because it'll never meet the expectation. You've built something in your mind that is so perfect and flawless and amazing and different from anything ever that as soon as it comes out and it's not that, you're going to hate it, even if it's still pretty good. I think the biggest threat to Spider-Man PS4 is the amount of hype that's been brewing for it. And everyone needs to chill the fuck out. Because TurkeyCon is going to be ruined.
Well, wasn't TurkeyCon ruined before it was made?
There's just a cool black guy in a van that's going to drive by with his sunglasses on and go, "Hey, you kids want some Spider-Man PS4? And they'll go, "Yeah, when is it?" And he'll go, "Eventually," and then just drive off. It still baffles me how many people keep checking. Like, people keep asking me about turkey sandwiches, and are like, "What was that video about?" And then I explain it to them, and they go, "Oh my god, it was a metaphor for Spider-Man stuff?" Wow. I thought it was super obvious. Like, I thought it would be, like, annoying to watch because it would just be like, okay, we get it. No one got it.
Now, I got it instantly, but, you know.
Because I explained it to you as soon as
I also...
Or wait, no, actually... I never explained it to you.
As you were writing it. And I read it, and I got, oh, this is amazing, I love it.
And then you said, this is the most passive-aggressive thing I've ever seen. And then you said, I love it.
Yeah. That is what I did say.
I'm glad I managed to get that out on the day of E3 before the new footage came out, because I got this extra irony added to it, because the comments were just, "Hey, are you gonna do a video on Spider-Man PS4? It's coming out today." All in the comments, Spider-Man PS4, all over, and it was like, I did it.
Hey, do you want to talk about what on your E3 watching party? Because I noticed, because you want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh yeah. So David was both very tired that day. Not gay. I'm sorry. I apologize to the gay community.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm gonna have to put a long
for
post
those
on
that don't
Twitter.
know, Xavier made a video where he watched what was it?
E3 2017,
where he reacts to Spider-Man PS4 stuff, and see we'd been hanging out the day before. I forget what we were doing.
I think it was just chilling out. Recording Couch Potatoes episodes, maybe.
I don't remember, but then you said, "Hey, why don't you want to go to my E3 watching party the next day?" And I said, "Sure." And then
yeah,
we did. And then that was at the end of the day, and I'd been there for like, what was it, like 3-ish, 4-ish hours before then. So it was at the very end of the day. And also,
he was very tired.
And also, what else?
I think we've talked about this before, except we're a lot more passive-aggressive to the audience for being upset. But basically, it was a perfect storm of things. David was tired. He's not that interested in video games.
Yeah.
He's especially not that interested in Spider-Man. And also, he had been there for a super long-ass time just waiting for this stupid thing to show. Because we watched all of the presentation for it.
Record the podcast live earlier, and then you said, I don't want to.
Oh, yeah, and you were also pissed at me because I put off recording the podcast for like the 5th week in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. So, it's my fault.
It
everyone.
Is. But
it's all my fault.
I just think, to the people who are kind of pissed that I'm not excited, I kind of feel like I kind of go on there, went on there last week, and I'm kind of, I kind of feel like I served a purpose there that's kind of important, because the people who are angry that I'm not as excited about them as they are, it's
those
kind
comments
of the point.
Were pretty vicious.
Uh-huh.
If you read those,
I've
were
read
mad.
those once in a while, and to that I kind of say that's kind of the point. I feel like I kind of serve a purpose there, because if you're that angry that somebody isn't excited about the thing that you are, then maybe you need to look at more different points of view, and I'm kind of providing that there, which I think is kind of cool. Or it's important, is what I'll say.
It's important to temper expectations and have you need the David there. You need the one guy who's gonna go, maybe it's not perfect immediately.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna have the sense to the sense to not immediately just like start screaming and flailing and acting crazy about how excited they are. Like, well, okay, why does it look that way? Maybe it's not going to be that fun to play. Hey, I don't know who that character is. Although I gotta admit, there were a couple of comments in there where it felt like you were specifically just trying to step on the fun.
Kinda.
There's a couple where you're like, this just looks dumb. Yeah. And we were like, why? You didn't even give a reason.
Mm-hmm. I'll concede.
It's like how all throughout this podcast, where every time I say I like something, you go, it sucks.
Oh, I'll concede to that. That's fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say that I am if what's his name? I'm not gonna say his name, but you know who he is if you've been listening to us long enough. If that particular YouTuber is the hero, if he is Spider-Man, as he wants us to be, then I am his greatest villain. I am the anti-Spider Squad.
You're the anti-Spidey Squad? You should put that on a shirt. You should go walk around in public with it. Because
if that
people will be like,
sort of people,
what?
If that sort of cadre is super excited about everything Spider-Man, I'm gonna be I'm the one who says, "Are you sure?" So I'm the supervillain. I'm the Green Goblin.
Okay. the Green Goblin who's gonna have sex with our underage girlfriends and then kill her on a bridge.
Yeah. That's my ambition.
Does everyone remember that? When he knocked up Spider-Man's girlfriend and then murdered her? Does anyone remember? Okay, never mind. So, I'm still working on the Ultimate Alliance review. I'm trying to pick away at it slowly, but I've got plenty of other smaller uploads I've been putting time into in the meantime. Just to keep like a flow going, so I don't have like a 6-week break where there's no video.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's. I mean, I can barely get any of these tiny Let's Plays up past like 2,000 views.
I thought about doing. This was an idea that the other person on this podcast suggested, that maybe I should stream playing the video game instead of doing a Let's Play. Because I think
people respond better to streams just because there's a level of interactivity.
I did the KOTOR Let's Play and nobody watches it. And I killed it off and I thought maybe that's the end of it. But who knows? What do you see? Since you're on my channel right now, comment and let me know if you think you want to stream some Vigi games.
And
also we're going to stream something else, aren't we, right?
Yeah, let's next week we're going to try and figure out a way to stream this podcast live on Sunday. So look forward to that, kiddos.
Who are the kiddos?
You,
me,
and Josh. Yeah,
Josh
he's the other kiddo.
Who's Josh?
This guy I know.
I never met him before.
He died in a tragic bicycle accident.
Yeah.
His front wheel flew off, and then he just was impaled on a tree branch. It was horrible.
So where did he go? What school did he go to? Because I don't remember having him at our high school. Was he from your previous school?
Yeah. I went to kindergarten with him.
Oh, okay. Got it.
All right, hold on. Quiet, Dave.
What?
Quiet. Do you hear that?
Do
you hear that? Listen. It's the sound of the podcast ending.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Bye!